on the screen. My goodness. So first of all, 2011, you have Jeffrey Epstein emailing Ghislaine Maxwell saying, I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Redacted victim's name. Spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. Maxwell responded again, this is 2011, April of 2011, I have been thinking about that, ... Another set of emails here. Fast forward to 2015. This is Jeffrey Epstein, December of 2015. CNN is hosting a primary debate for Republicans as Donald Trump is completely rocketing up in the polls. I hear CNN, Michael Wolff writes to Epstein, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. I want to just pause there, by the way, for a moment. This is Michael Wolff pulling a little bit of what, Donna Brazile, like tipping off Jeffrey Epstein to something in the gossip, in the milieu surrounding Michael Wolff about a question in a presidential debate. Epstein replies, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? So basically, Wolff and Epstein are trying to preemptively give Donald Trump a little something to work with.
All right, shout out to Breaking Points for that one. Let's get into it. So here's where we have Donald Trump's reaction to the release of some of these Epstein emails with his name in them. The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country, while at the same time putting many at risk. And they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. You better speed up them $2,000 tariff checks, my boy. And we ain't forgot about those $3,500 Doge checks either. We ain't forgot about those. So put them in the bag, my boy. Put them in the bag. Let's go. Just put them in the bag. You know. I mean, come on, MAGA. Like, and we're gonna get into this, but for the MAGA people, and I got love for my MAGA people. I got because there's a lot that we align with. You know what I mean? There's a lot that I align with the MAGA people. You know what I mean? So, let's, for the people in MAGA still holding on to this guy, still running to his defense, still trying to block him from any criticism. Come on. You know what I mean? Like, he was involved with the Epstein stuff, right? Like, is that obvious now? Like, a lot of this shit was being done out of Mar-a-Lago. Him and Epstein were boys. Those are facts. My man Trump was driving this Epstein plane up through the 2024 election, my boy. He was still flying in the Lolita Express like it was 1996. You know what I mean? So, come on. Like, let's move on. Let's move forward as a country. Let's unite behind this issue, because I'm going to get into some more stuff here, right? But this Epstein stuff is, this is a big deal. Out of all of the things that the Democrats have went after Trump for in the previous term, the Russiagate stuff, the this, the that, I agree. A lot of that was bullshit. A lot of that was a waste of time. A lot of that was a waste of energy. They were trying to nail him on stuff that they just did not have good evidence on, right? This, though, this is there, and now you have a bipartisan effort to investigate this. You have Republicans and Democrats going at him right now with these Epstein files. Because if you are a ethical human being and you actually care about all these things that you say that you care about, this has to do with innocent children being trafficked, right? This is serious business. And if Donald Trump was involved in that and you're still supporting him, given the evidence, then that's a reflection on you. You have to deal with that. You have to look yourself in the mirror and ask, when is enough? What if he can cross that line and you can still support him, then what can't he do? You know what I mean? And we're going to get into, this here. We're going to move forward with a couple different stories, and just really kind of showcase this whole America First has been completely betrayed by him. This MAGA movement, everything, right? Everything that he said that he stood for is completely gone. So let's get into the next thing, right? We're gonna keep pushing forward. So here's Trump defending allowing 600,000 Chinese students, citizens in on H-1B visas to be trained here, to get jobs here. Here's him defending this, right? Now, mind you, 600,000, that's more than the amount of people he's deported. So he's putting all this money and effort into deporting people only to bring in 6 times that amount. And granted, they are legal citizens by this H-1B situation, or legal visitors, but them being legal is really just what the administration is deciding. He could easily decide that all of the illegal immigrants that have been here, that have been working, that have been making an honest living, he could easily wave a magic wand and make them legal. He could make 600,000 of them legal, but instead he's going to be bringing in 600,000 people from China on H-1B visas. Let's see his reasoning, shall we?
When these things open up, there's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean,
Republicans have to talk about it.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people
no, you
here.
don't. No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here.
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles.
Okay, so let's get that down. So there's not enough talented Americans for these new jobs that all of this effort is for, right? The whole purpose of all these tariffs is to bring manufacturing here in America so Americans get those jobs, right? That's the whole point of this. But if those jobs are just going to go to foreign workers, then what's in it for us? What do we get out of paying higher prices because the products that we buy are tariffed? I support tariffs if it creates jobs for the working class of this country. That is the whole point. That's what we did when we had tariffs. But that's not what this is. He's just going to continue hiring foreign workers, and he's deeming out of the foreign workers who's acceptable and who's not. So he's still prioritizing foreign workers over American citizens. And again, MAGA, so I ask you, he's saying that there's not enough talented Americans for these jobs. He's going to have foreign workers take those jobs. Does that sound like he's putting America first to you? Is that what that sounds like? Or is he basically saying, you guys can lick my fucking sweaty balls. Thank you for voting for me. Now you get Dick McGee's axe. Shout out to Kyle Kalinske. I've never heard that saying anywhere else, but I like it, so I'm stealing it. You know what I mean? Like, again, he's made a deal with South Korea, with China, with whoever, and part of that deal is they get to send their people, their citizens over here to do our jobs. And the excuse is, hey, well, Americans haven't worked these jobs in a long time. They don't know how to do them. They need training. But the people that you're bringing over here are going to be trained. So it makes no fucking sense, dude. It makes no give me that fucking $2,000, bro. Give me that fucking $3,500. Let's fucking keep it moving, bro. Let's keep it moving. And we ain't done yet, right? We've covered how he's involved in Epstein, and more is going to continue to come out. We've covered how he's bringing in 600,000 Chinese citizens to take American jobs, giving them H-1B visas, South Koreans, Indians, pretty much the majority of Asia. They're going to be coming here. They're going to be working in American factories, American plants, American companies, and American workers get nothing, right? We get nothing out of this but paying higher prices when we go grocery shopping, when we buy our products, because they are tariffed. And the reason that they are tariffed is to bring manufacturing back here for Americans, right? That was the whole purpose. That's how you actually put America first. But we're not done yet. We're not done. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep it moving. So let's recap, shall we? Let's recap. So we know Trump was involved with Epstein. We know Epstein was involved with Israel. And now we're kind of coming full circle, right? So why has Trump been so friendly to Israel? Israel has received more aid under Trump than they have any other president before him. Now, don't get me wrong. I have plenty of bones to pick with every president post-1967 who's, just given a blank check to Israel. But this was written in March of this year. Who knows how much more money it's been since then? This is the most recent thing I could find, which was in March. Trump was in office for less than 2 months when this was written by Marco Rubio. This isn't written by some liberal, socialist, communist journalist. No, this was written by Marco Rubio himself, who works for the Trump administration. Since taking office, the Trump administration has approved nearly $12 billion in major FMS sales to Israel. $12 billion worth of aid to Israel. This was in March. Less than 2 months into him being president. How much has been after that, right? We're almost at the end of the year, and there's been more aid sent to Israel because, again, this is before the Iran strike, right? So obviously, who knows how much money that costs. We put our own soldiers and our own Air Force in the line of fire unnecessarily. That was one of the big, things where, again, this was a guy who ran on being extremely anti-war. This was one of his biggest appeals, was being extremely anti-war. And then what does he do? He continues to fund Israel's genocide, right? He continues to fund that war. A war, say what you want about the moral implications of the genocide. That's not even my primary thing in this conversation. The primary thing is this has nothing to do with us. We are putting ourselves in harm's way by continuing to enable this terrorist, genocidal, monster, demonic state that is committing these atrocities. We are putting ourselves in the line of fire because it's only going to radicalize people against us. We're the ones sending the weapons. So we can't sit here and say, oh, wasn't me. We're the ones sending the weapons, guys. So of course these people are going to be angry at us. So we're putting our lives on the line for a foreign country who, by all accounts, has only done things wrong to us. Really, has only committed acts of violence on us. Hamas hasn't committed any acts of violence on America. Iran hasn't committed any acts of violence on America. 12 Americans in the past 2 years have been killed by Israel. Did the Trump administration have anything to say about that? 12 Americans, American citizens have been killed by Israel in the past 2 years. Trump silent. Can you imagine what would happen to a different foreign country if that happened? If they killed 12 American citizens? What do you think the consequences for that country would be? What would your expectation of those consequences be? Trump silent. So again, MAGA, which this is really where I'm at with this, is when does the undying loyalty end? At what point does it end? Because all of these promises that he's made, keeping us out of war, we started a conflict with Iran. We're starting a war with Venezuela to do a regime change, just like we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that worked out terribly. Everyone knows that worked out terribly. This is one of the big things that Trump ran on in the first place. This is one thing that he made issue with. This is something that separated him from the neocon Republican establishment that he was running against in 2015. But now he's just turned into them. And in fact might be worse. He's given Israel more money than in any prior president. $12 billion within 2 months. We're not even, past the full year yet. So this is just ridiculous. So again, MAGA, you got to tell me where the line is. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a very unbiased person. When a politician does something or says something that I like, I will commend them on it. There's ideas I feel like Trump has that are good. The problem is they go in the wrong direction. Tariffs, I supported because we definitely need to bring manufacturing back to America, but those are supposed to be jobs for Americans, right? To bring us back to being a manufacturing hub of the world, creating jobs that can provide middle-class lives for the American worker. Just like we used to have 1950s, 1960s, up to the 1970s, really. If we're going to put in policies that get back to that, I will support it. But if you're just tariffing products and making them more expensive for the American citizen, and you're not giving them jobs to make up for the higher prices, then you're just hurting the American citizens, my friend. That's all you're doing. If you're going to continue giving Israel whatever it wants, giving Israel money, while you're holding up SNAP benefits for American citizens, increasing the cost of health care by not renewing the, COVID subsidies, which again, not a fan of Obamacare. I think we need Medicare for all. Obamacare was just a big Band-Aid on the problem. All it did was send more money to private healthcare companies. It's not, the solution is Medicare for all. That's what needs to happen. Separate video, though. The point is, all these policies are hurting Americans. They are not benefiting us right now. If the tariffs created more American jobs, good. That would be a good thing. You would get my support. If he kept us out of wars instead of pushing us into more conflicts, putting the American soldier in unnecessary danger, really. You know, Venezuela, they have their entire citizenry is armed with AK-47s. Everybody. You know, it'd be like invading America, but on steroids maybe. So it's putting them in danger for what? Because you don't want a communist to, you know, have possession of oil. That oil is theirs. It belongs to them. It doesn't belong to us. Now, we could work out some diplomatic arrangement with Maduro and buy the oil and then not spend trillions of dollars to overthrow him with a government that the people don't want, just for it to erupt in chaos and anarchy, like what happened in Libya, like what happened in Iraq, like what happened in Afghanistan, where we spent trillions of dollars to overthrow the Taliban from Afghanistan, only for the Taliban to just take over Afghanistan again, because the Taliban was the people who were the most organized in forming a government. And unfortunately, that is the reality. We cannot dictate what kind of government other countries have. We can barely dictate ourselves. We just end up spending trillions and trillions of dollars on these conflicts, and it's for nothing. Well, I mean, it's for rich people to accumulate more resources, but it doesn't benefit the American people, which is why the American people do not support these conflicts.